Tom Vasel. Welcome back to another look at one of the shelves in the Dice Tower library. Now this is on rack 11, which is my historical wargaming shelf of sorts, and you're definitely going to see that here on 11D. So let's get started going through these. First of all, we have Freedom, the Underground Railroad. Freedom, the Underground Railroad, while you can make fun and have light in a lot of games, this is not really one of those games. This is from Academy Games, and it's about, well, the Underground Railroad, and you are cooperatively trying to help as many slaves escape as you possibly can. It's a very serious subject. It's a very good game, and it really causes some retrospective, but I like it a lot, and I'm glad to have it in the library. Next to that, we have the duo of Imperial Struggle and Twilight Struggle. Now, Twilight Struggle, of course, is the classic Cold War game, which two-player game, the USSR versus America, and it's really a great game. Imperial Struggle is the sequel to that of sorts that just came out last year, if you're watching this in 2021. Imperial Struggle, I don't think is as good as Twilight Struggle, but it's definitely, it's very involved. There's a lot of good things, and some people are going to like it better. Both of these very involved two-player games. Well, continuing on that, we have Labyrinth. Now, Labyrinth is a game that I read the rules, I set it up, I went through it, and I never finished it because Labyrinth is a tough game for me to swallow. Just like Freedom, the Underground Railroad. In Labyrinth, it's basically the war on terror, the board game. But one person has to play the terrorists, and that's a tough thing for me to kind of swallow on a personal level, but I've heard nothing but good about this game. Now you'll see that we're going to continue on here with the GMT games. The next couple games I don't know a whole lot about. That's Here I Stand. Well, I know what Here I Stand is about. It's the Reformation and the wars in that time frame, and I heard that you can play a multiplayer game of this, and it's a fascinating, tremendous experience. One of the best games out there in this regard, which is why it's in my library. I did hear it's very long. Empire of the Sun, the Pacific War, 1941 to 1945. I don't know as much about that one, but I'm trying to have like a small selection of war games for people to pick from. Combat Commander Europe, I have played this game from Chad Jensen. Not quite as hefty as like Advanced Squad Leader, but there's definitely a lot going on in it. There's different versions of it, but I wanted to put one of them in the library for people to play, so there you have it. Then we have Time of Crisis, the Roman Empire in Turmoil, and this is again, this and the one next to it, Tank Duel, Enemy in the Crossroads, are two war games I don't know as much about, but I do know that they get a lot of love in the wargaming community, which is why they're on the shelf. Now the next couple games I do know, and that's Command and Colors, Samurai Battles, and Commands and Colors Medieval. Now I think Commands and Colors Samurai Battles is one of the most refreshing games in that genre that's come out. It's essentially a reboot of sorts of Battlelore, the first edition, as it has an honor system in it that I think is really well done. The Commands and Colors games, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, the most famous is Memoir 44. These are more involved, and that's why I like having them here. Commands and Colors Medieval and Samurai Battles, different time periods, but if you know how to play one, you can figure out how to play the rest. Then we have 1960, The Making of the President. This is a game that really kind of fits on this shelf because it's very similar to Twilight Struggle, and it's about the election in 1960, which hopefully, I always say this, 51 years later, or I'm sorry, 61 years later doesn't cause as much anguish as it might have back then. But it's a really good game, and if you want to play a lighter version of Twilight Struggle, it's worth it. Founding Fathers is here because it's also in this same genre. Founding Fathers is very similar to Twilight Struggle and 1960, but it's a multiplayer game, and it's about, you know, framing the Constitution way back when. And so I don't think it's as good as the other ones, but it does play multiplayer, and the historical nature of it's pretty strong. Then there's Escape from Colditz. Now this is the Osprey Games reprint, which was fairly faithful as far as I can tell to the original. This is one of those classic games I've never got around to playing. I probably should at some point. You know, it's about, you know, a bunch of prisoners trying to escape from a prison controlled by guards. I like that concept, and so I'll have to give it a try sometime. And then finally, Cold War, Quartermaster General Cold War. Now, I never played this game, but I did play the original Quartermaster General, and I know this is pretty similar. I did not like Quartermaster General at all, but I know a lot of people did. So that's why it's in the library again. It's a more abstract, quicker war game of sorts. But, you know, I'm trying to have all sorts of games in the library for different folks. So while this is a shelf where many of the games on it I haven't played, several of them I have played, my favorite by far, of course, is Twilight Struggle. I think it's a fantastic game. This two-player Cold War recreation, and there's an app that you can play online now that really just does this just tremendously well. So I like it a lot. What's your favorite on this shelf? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching another shelf review on the Dice Tower.